Hi, I'm Jake, 32, and last month my life blew up when my sister-in-law disconnected my 8-year-old son's hospital alarm, and nurses found him flatlined. 20 minutes. He was flatlined for 20 minutes. And I made sure she paid for every second of it. Let me start by saying I'm not the type to blow up. I don't scream. I don't make scenes. But the moment I found out my son nearly died because someone, family, no less, decided I was too protective, something inside me cracked open and never went back. My son's name is Oliver. He's 8 years old, loves Lego spaceships, has a laugh that sounds like he's made of light, and a heart that's broken. Literally. When he was 6, he was diagnosed with tetralogy of Fallot, a congenital heart defect that, in plain English, means his heart didn't develop right. Without surgery, he wouldn't survive past childhood. We got lucky. It was caught early. Surgery was scheduled. I remember holding his little hand in the pre-op room, trying to act braver than I felt while he told the surgeon to make sure he could still play soccer afterward. He made it through. It was brutal, but he made it. And we were told very clearly, his heart is fragile. Symptoms could be deadly. If you notice chest pain, breathing issues, irregular heartbeats, get him to a hospital immediately. We became experts overnight. Monitoring meds, nutrition, exercise, sleep. I color-coded a spreadsheet of medications. His dad, Maxwell, learned how to read EKGs. Our lives orbited around keeping this kid alive. And for a while, it worked. Oliver got stronger. We relaxed, a little. Until 2 months ago. He started waking up at night clutching his chest. We took him straight to Cedar Grove Medical Center, where his cardiologist, Dr. Morrison, admitted him for monitoring. His rhythms were erratic. Unstable. And now he needed to be connected to 24/7 cardiac monitoring. Machines tracked his vitals in real time, hooked to an alarm that would alert the nurse's station if something went wrong. That alarm was his lifeline. Enter Bridget. Maxwell's younger sister. My sister-in-law. And let me just say this flat out, Bridget and I have never gotten along. She thinks being a pharmaceutical sales rep gives her authority over everyone, especially me. When we got married, she wore white to the wedding. When I got pregnant with Oliver, she told everyone I had trapped her brother. And when Oliver was diagnosed with a congenital heart condition, her exact words were, "Genetic defects usually come from the mother's side." She says stuff like that and then blinks at you like you're overreacting. Maxwell has always tried to keep the peace. She's just bad with emotions, he says. No. She's just toxic. She showed up at the hospital with a teddy bear, cooing over Oliver like she hadn't just spent the last few years undermining my every breath. I tolerated it. Until she started talking over me to the nurses. "Selena's very anxious," she said to one. "You might want to double-check everything she says with the doctor. She tends to spiral." Spiral? Then she started bringing Oliver snacks, sugar-loaded candy, which Dr. Morrison had strictly forbidden during rhythm monitoring. I told her no. She gave me the smirk. "A little sugar won't hurt. You're being controlling." Maxwell didn't want drama. "She's just trying to help," he said. My sister, Ashley, had a very different take. "She's making you look unhinged on purpose," she told me during one visit. "This is power play crap. Shut it down." I tried. I set boundaries. But Bridget ignored them like she ignored hospital policy. She started asking the nurses too many questions. Not casual questions. Technical ones. What happens if the alarm malfunctions? What happens if it's disconnected? Will it still display vitals? Sharon, one of the lead nurses, pulled me aside. "I don't want to alarm you," she said, "but she's been asking some very odd questions about the equipment." I told Maxwell. He brushed it off again. "She's curious. She works in pharma." "No. She doesn't work in cardiology." I should have kicked her out right then. I should have made a scene. But instead I let her stay. And that nearly got my son killed. Tuesday night. Maxwell had gone home to grab clothes. I hadn't eaten a proper meal in days. My mom came to relieve me for 30 minutes so I could scarf down some cafeteria food. Oliver was stable. He was watching cartoons. His heart rate was normal. My mom promised she'd stay right by his side. She didn't know Bridget was coming. Bridget showed up. According to my mom, she made a big show of being surprised to see her. "Oh, Linda, I didn't realize you'd be here. Hey, could you do me a huge favor and grab me a coffee from down the hall? I twisted my knee and it's killing me." My mom, sweet, naive, said sure. She was gone for maybe 10 minutes. That's when Bridget was alone in the room with my son. And that's when she disconnected the alarm. Not the monitor in the room, that kept displaying Oliver's vitals, but the alarm that connects to the nurse's station. The only thing that would alert staff if something went wrong. She reached behind the bed and physically disabled it. The hospital security footage confirmed it later. She was in the room alone for 18 minutes. She left. My mom came back. She saw the monitor, still beeping along with a heartbeat, and had no idea the alarm was off. I returned. I noticed something almost immediately. Oliver's breathing was off. Shallow. Fast. I asked if he was okay. He didn't answer. Then I saw the monitor. His heart rate was dropping. I ran into the hallway and screamed for help. Sharon was there in seconds. She took one look and hit the emergency button. Code blue. They swarmed. Dr. Morrison was suddenly at my side. Nurses pushing me aside. Monitors screaming. "Why wasn't the alarm triggered?" Someone shouted. A nurse checked the line. "It's been disconnected." Then the line went flat. That horrible, piercing, continuous beep. My son was flatlining. I collapsed to the floor screaming. 20 minutes. 20 minutes of lost time because the alarm had been disconnected. 20 minutes without anyone watching him. Because Bridget decided I was too protective and wanted to prove I wasn't the only one keeping him alive. She gambled with my son's life to prove a point about me. And I was going to make sure she never gambled with anyone's life again. Oliver was flatlining. The beep of the monitor was this horrifying, unbroken sound that will never leave my body. I felt like I was underwater, deafened by it. I could see people moving, doctors, nurses, a crash cart rolling in, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. My hands were shaking so violently I had to sit down or fall over. My baby, my sweet, curious, Lego-loving boy was dying. And I couldn't do a damn thing but watch. They started CPR immediately. Paddles were prepped. I heard someone yell for AP. Another nurse read off vitals. Dr. Morrison took charge like a commander in battle. Maxwell came sprinting down the hallway, still in jeans and a wrinkled t-shirt, panic written all over his face. He saw me sobbing and dropped to his knees. "Where is he? What happened?" "He flatlined," I choked. "The alarm was disconnected." Nobody knew. That was the moment Maxwell really saw me. Not just heard me. Not, "Maybe you're being overprotective." Saw me, but saw me. Saw the thing I'd been screaming about for days. His eyes widened with a horror that mirrored mine. He grabbed my hands and we sat like that, locked together, watching through the ICU doors as our son was brought back from the brink. Somehow they did it. Dr. Morrison stabilized him. He was moved to a pediatric ICU room with multiple redundant monitors, and security stationed outside. When she came out to talk to us, she looked like she'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. "He's stable," she said. But that was very close. A few more minutes and... She didn't have to finish the sentence. Maxwell asked the question I hadn't said out loud yet. "How did the alarm get disconnected?" She shook her head. "We don't know yet. We're reviewing security footage. But someone physically disabled it. That function requires pressing and holding a recessed button for 3 seconds. It doesn't happen by accident." That was when it hit me. Bridget. My brain connected the dots like it had been waiting to do it all along. Her showing up unannounced. Her questions about the alarm system. The weird positioning in the room. Her need to undermine me every second. That woman had done something. I turned to Maxwell. She was alone with him. Tonight. When I was at the cafeteria. She asked my mom to get her coffee. She had a window. His face turned to stone. "Are you sure?" She knew how the alarm worked. Sharon said she was asking questions about it. She lied to my mom. She had motive. Natasha, my best friend, got to the hospital within the hour. She pulled me into a side room, listened to everything, and said flat out, "Tell the hospital to pull the footage. Now. If she did this, they'll find it." Security was way ahead of us. Within an hour, they had footage of Bridget entering the room at 6:15 p.m. My mom leaving for coffee at 6:18. At 6:22, Bridget stood, moved behind the bed, and blocked the view of the camera with her body. The technical team confirmed the exact moment the alarm stopped transmitting to the nurse's station, 6:23. She stayed with Oliver for another 13 minutes. Left at 6:36. I returned at 6:46. Oliver flatlined at 7:05. My mom came back into the room around 6:37, 1 minute after Bridget left. She had no clue anything had changed. The monitor in the room looked normal. But the safety net, the alarm at the nurse's station, was gone. The hospital called the police. Detectives arrived late that night. I gave them everything, the timeline, the footage, the testimony from Sharon. When they brought in Bridget for questioning the next day, she denied everything. "I didn't touch anything," she said. They showed her the footage. "I was adjusting his pillow. The cords were tangled. The alarm is on the opposite side of the bed from the pillow." Her story kept shifting. "Maybe I bumped it. I didn't know I disconnected anything." But again, it's a recess button. You have to intentionally press and hold it for 3 seconds to disable the alarm. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. What blew the case open completely were her phone records. Bridget had Googled, days before the incident, the following phrases. "How do hospital cardiac monitors work? Can you disable nurse station alarm? What happens when heart monitor alarm is silenced? How long can a child survive cardiac event without intervention?" That last one made my blood run cold. The detectives also found texts to a friend. "Selena acts like she's the only one who cares about Oliver. She treats everyone like they're stupid. Someone needs to show her what happens when she's not in control." Show me. She wanted to show me. When her lawyer saw the evidence, he tried to negotiate a plea deal immediately. That's when we found out her real motive. She'd done it on purpose. She'd hoped that Oliver would have a minor episode. That the nurses wouldn't respond immediately. That I would see it wasn't me alone keeping him alive, and maybe, just maybe, stop being such an overbearing mom. Her plan was to scare me. Just a little. Just enough to make a point. Except Oliver's heart doesn't work like that. Except there are no minor cardiac events for kids like him. Except her petty little plan nearly killed my son. Maxwell was wrecked. He couldn't look at her the same again. "I knew she was awful," he said. "But I didn't know she was evil." Diane and Thomas, Bridget's and Maxwell's parents, tried to spin it. She made a mistake. She didn't mean for him to get hurt. She was trying to help in her own way. I looked them in the eyes and said, "She disabled a medical alarm. In a hospital. And walked out like nothing happened. She tried to play God with my child's life." Eventually, even they had to admit the truth. Bridget was arrested. Official charges: reckless endangerment of a child, tampering with medical equipment, attempted manslaughter. Because this wasn't just an accident. It was planned. It was malicious. And it almost worked. In court, the prosecutor didn't hold back. She brought in Dr. Morrison, who explained how fragile Oliver's heart is. She explained that seconds matter. That the alarm system exists specifically because cardiac events in children can escalate from irregular rhythm to death in minutes. And then they read Bridget's search history. Her texts. And I gave my victim impact statement. I stood in that courtroom and said, "I trusted family around my child. And one of them used that trust to disable his lifeline. I will never forgive that. I will never forget the sound of that flat line. And I will make sure she never gets the chance to hurt him, or anyone else, again." Maxwell spoke next. "My sister tried to kill my son to win a petty argument. There's no excuse for that. None. It took the jury 2 days. They found her guilty on all counts. She was sentenced to 8 years in prison. She'll serve at least 6 before parole. She was also ordered to pay for all of Oliver's medical bills related to the incident, and for therapy. His and mine. Bridget's company dropped her immediately. Her medical sales license was revoked. No one's hiring someone who nearly killed a kid in a hospital to make a point. Maxwell cut all contact. He sent her one letter before her transfer to the state facility. I read it. You nearly killed my son because you were jealous of my wife. There's no coming back from that. Don't contact me again. Don't contact Selena. When you get out of prison, stay away from my family. You're my sister by blood, but you're dead to me. I still have it saved. I still read it when the nightmares come. Oliver survived. But this story, this part of our lives, left a scar that will never fully fade. After the trial, after the cameras left and the gavel came down, silence became the loudest sound in our lives. The kind of silence that hums under your skin. The kind that follows trauma when the world keeps moving, but you don't. Oliver survived, and that word, survived, became both a blessing and a curse. He didn't just need medical care, he needed time to relearn safety. For months after the hospital, he would wake up screaming, convinced alarms were beeping. He wouldn't sleep unless I held his hand. He wouldn't even let a nurse touch him for checkups. He'd whisper, "Mom, promise no one will turn it off again." I'd tell him, "Never again, baby. I promise." And I meant it. Therapy became part of our routine, for him and for me. We saw Dr. Keating, a child trauma specialist who helped Oliver name his fear. She used toys, stories, breathing games. Slowly, he began to laugh again. One day, he told her, "The bad lady can't reach me now." I cried all the way home. I wasn't much better. I'd flinch at every sound from his heart monitor. I couldn't sleep without checking it every hour. When I closed my eyes, I'd see the green line dip, the one that had gone flat that night, and I'd wake gasping. I wasn't afraid of Bridget. I was afraid of ever trusting anyone again. Even nurses. Even Maxwell. Max and I went to counseling too. He had his own ghosts. He blamed himself for defending Bridget for so long. For dismissing my instincts. I saw what I wanted to see, he admitted during one session. I wanted to believe she was just awkward, not cruel. I thought you were overreacting. And because of that, our son almost died. There was no apology big enough for that, but I forgave him because guilt was already eating him alive. What mattered was that he changed. I saw it every day, in the way he listened now, the way he stood between us and his family when they tried to tiptoe back in. Bridget's parents, Diane and Thomas, were shattered. Thomas, the eternal peacekeeper, broke down one afternoon in our living room. "We made her this way," he said. "We taught her she could do anything and we'd clean it up. We never made her face what she did to people. Now you and Oliver paid for it." I didn't comfort him. Some things don't deserve soft landings. I just said, "You can start fixing it by not making excuses ever again." They tried, though. They really did. They showed up for Oliver, quietly and consistently. Supervised visits only, that was our condition. They'd bring him books or puzzles, talk about school, and never mention their daughter. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was progress. Bridget, meanwhile, tried reaching out from prison. Letters came every few weeks. At first, they were rambling apologies. Then defensive essays about mental health and emotional stress. Then finally, please tell Oliver I love him. Please send photos. I didn't open the last few. They went straight into a box labeled evidence and stayed there. Her parole hearing is in 5 years. I already have my statement written. So does Maxwell. So does Dr. Morrison, and the prosecutor, and even the hospital's legal department. None of us want her free before she serves every day she earned. The hospital changed everything after that night. New policies, new systems. Every alarm disconnection is now logged and requires dual authorization, one nurse, one supervisor. If it's silenced, an automatic alert goes out to security and the charge nurse. Sharon told me they even use Oliver's case in staff training now. "Your son's story is saving other kids," she said. That was the first time in months I felt like the pain might count for something. A year passed. Oliver turned 9. Dr. Morrison says his heart's stronger than expected. He still has restrictions: no competitive sports, no sugar binges, no wild playground scrambles, but he's alive. He started playing in a special soccer league for kids with heart conditions. The first time I saw him run across the field, cheeks flushed, I couldn't stop crying. Not because I was sad, but because I realized I'd forgotten what joy looked like on his face. We threw a birthday party that year. Just close friends and family, the ones who stuck by us. Ashley and Natasha were there, helping decorate. My mom, still guilty for leaving him alone that night, baked cupcakes. She still apologizes sometimes, still says, "If I just told Bridget no." But I always tell her the same thing. The only person responsible is Bridget. You trusted family. We all did. After the guests left, Oliver handed me a card he'd drawn himself. A big red heart with a band-aid on it, and stick figures holding hands. "Mom," he said. "See? My heart's fixed now." I hugged him so hard he squeaked. "Yeah," I whispered. "It is." At night, when he's asleep, I still check his monitor. Still listen for the steady rhythm. But the panic has softened. It's not fear now, it's gratitude. As for Bridget, she's still behind bars. Her prison record says she's adjusting poorly. No friends, multiple disciplinary write-ups, one transfer after an altercation with another inmate. Karma, I guess, doesn't like competition. Her pharmaceutical career is gone. Her license, revoked permanently. The story made headlines when it happened. Pharma rep endangers child in hospital. Every search of her name leads to that. The irony is cruel. She spent her whole life bragging about saving lives by selling drugs. Now she'll be remembered for almost ending one. Maxwell got a promotion this year. I started teaching art again. Life didn't magically go back to normal, but it found a new shape. A sturdier one. Some nights we talk about moving, about starting fresh in another city where no one knows our story. But then Oliver laughs in the living room, really laughs, and I realize we already started over. We didn't move houses, we moved hearts. People sometimes ask if I'd ever forgive Bridget. It's the question everyone wants answered. The therapist says forgiveness is optional closure. That it's for me, not her. But the truth is simple, no. I don't forgive her. Not because I'm angry, though I am, but because forgiveness requires repentance. And the day she decided to disconnect that alarm, she disconnected herself from humanity. You don't come back from that. She didn't just silence a machine. She silenced trust. Safety. Childhood. She made a calculated choice that nearly killed a child, my child, and destroyed the illusion that family automatically means love. But she failed in one thing, she didn't break us. She wanted to teach me a lesson, to prove I wasn't the only one who could protect Oliver. Well, she was right about one thing. I'm not the only one. There's a whole army now. Doctors, nurses, friends, therapists, all of us. And together, we'll make damn sure no one like her ever gets near him again. A few weeks ago, Oliver had his final cardiac checkup for the year. Dr. Morrison smiled and said, "He's doing remarkably well, Selena. You've both been through hell, but he's thriving." Oliver grinned, showing that gap-toothed smile I thought I'd never see again. When we left the hospital, the sun hit us like gold. Oliver squeezed my hand and said, "Mom, we can go home now, right? The safe home?" "Yeah, sweetheart," I said. "The safest one in the world." And for the first time since that night, I actually believed it.